Thank you for joining today's presentation. And we heard a beautiful Kirtan. I'm sure you are feeling blessed. We are in chapter 9, and I think we will look at, as time allows, one or two verses in chapter 9, 9:17 and 9:18. And when we started chapter 9, we talked about it. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is the nectar of knowledge, but this chapter 9 is on devotional service, which is actually one of the easiest paths by which you can connect to the truth and to understanding of Lord Krishna and how the spiritual energy of God has created all these universes, and how we as marginal beings, we can go from material to spiritual consciousness. We have talked before some of this in chapter 9 verse 2. This is Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Agamam Dharmasya Susukham Kartum Avyayam. We need to keep the goal in mind that this is the Raja Vidya, which means it is the king of knowledge, and Raja Guhyam, it is a confidential knowledge which Krishna imparted to his dear friend Arjuna. But that philosophy has been so nicely explained by Swami Prabhupada in his Bhagavad Gita, explanations and translations, that we can all benefit from it. Now, let us look at the verse today. We also saw before in Brahma Samhita, if you look at Brahma Samhita, the very first, it begins with Ishwar Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadira Adira Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. So the whole thing starts and ends with Krishna. He is this God. When we look at the concept, and it's a science really, there is so much that you can experience and realize. And here Krishna is saying, let's read this. Pita aham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Rig Samyajurevacha. I am the father of this universe. Pita aham asya pita of this jagat. Mata, I am the mother. Dhata, I am the sustainer. And also I am the pitamaha, the grandfather. Now, if you look at it in the form of spiritual energy, there is from generation to generation, whether your father, parents, grandparents, and on, we are all sustained by some source. And that source is the one that we need to understand and be connected with. And once we do that, if it doesn't eliminate it, at least lessens your suffering. So what he's saying, Vedyam Pavitram Omkara, that is all that is needs to be known, need to understand it. And some of it can be by reading, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, you need to be in meditation, and Bhakti Yoga. Without combination of these, you will not understand the reality. So the translation was, I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. We all know all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, and Hindu literature is so vast. You will need more than one life to read everything and understand everything. But if you go through even Bhagavad Gita, you will understand most and all of the basic truths and the philosophy to sustain and improve your life. Here it says, I am also the Rig Veda, the Samaveda, and the Yajurveda. You all know, you can do meditation on Om. Om. There is a whole Upanishad written on it, Mandukya Upanishad, which mainly explains the three states of consciousness, how we go into the waking state, the dream state, and then the complete sleep. And after that is the Turiya state. So one has to go into that state, which completes the understanding of the whole consciousness. And when one is there, you are in a different level. Let's go to the purport. So Lord Krishna is explaining that he is the sustainer, and he is the grandsire, and he is the basically the seed of this whole cosmos and the generation, the regeneration that we see. If we read that, it says the entire cosmic manifestation, moving and unmoving. And from this creation, you learn from the moving as well as the unmoving. When we think of both of these are manifested by the activities of Krishna's energy. In material existence of life, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. And that is the situation that we humans are. And with those interactions, we of course have the joys and the sufferings and the pain and so on in the interactions. But, and they are under the creation of marginal energy, which is Prakriti. Some appear as father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But all are parts and parcels of Krishna. So we need to understand our relationship with the creator, with the God, and as to what we need to look at that. And then it says, Om is to be understood as Krishna. All the Vedas are progressive steps toward understanding of Krishna. And in all the hymns of the Vedas, we see the Om or Omkar or Pranav. And we can understand the meaning of, I talked about Om briefly. Pranav means which is not new, which has been there forever. It is eternal. And the reality and the truth is eternal. It stays. It doesn't disappear. It is there. And that is what we see in this particular verse. So these ideas explain that Lord Krishna is responsible for us completely in the form of our father, mother, grandfather, and so on, and we can count on his support. And that is what is the true knowledge. And if you keep that knowledge in mind, then I think all the rest of the processes are all understood. Like it said, Vadyam Pavitram Omkara, Rik Samayajurevacha. So all the knowledge is in that understanding, in that real knowledge. Let's go to the second verse. So we talked about the God, which is the substratum or the support, of all the creation. Here we are looking at what is the goal? That's what is explained in this verse. Gati Bharata Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrida Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. So I am the goal. Look at the translation. I am the goal, the sustainer. Gati. Gati means the goal. Bharata means I am the sustainer. Prabhu, Sakshi, the Lord. Prabhu means Lord. And Sakshi, I am the witness. So this whole creation is in a very scientific and systematic way running, even though it sometimes seems it is out of control and things are, without any reason. But our goal is Gati, Bharata, Prabhu, Sakshi, Nivasa, Sharanam, Suhridaya, and he is within us. We have talked about it before. The Jivatma and Paramatma, and it is written in other Upanishads too. One is the eating bird and the other is the witnessing bird. There is a difference between living entity and God. So in translation, we are seeing I am the goal, the sustainer, the Lord, witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. Let's go to the purport. We talked about Gatir, and then he says, I am the creator, the annihilation, and the basis of everything, or substratum. Ultimate goal is Krishna, though people don't know it or else are misled because of partial or hallucination by different demigods. So the whole science is very clear that we need to connect with the correct goal, which can remove these partial, or what is said is we need Ananya Bhakti. That is, you want to be connected to the real truth, and Krishna is the eternal cause of all causes. So if you meditate on each word in this verse, it tells you that he is the Gati, Bharata, Prabhu, Sakshi, Nivas, Sharanam, Suhrida. It is within you. One can sit and meditate and you can experience God. You don't even need to do any rituals, even though we know that there are different 9 devotional processes, like we do Kirtan. You can do that. You can do Dhyan. There are so many ways. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. And the last one is Atmanivedanam. You have to submit. You have to give up your lordship and have that faith. This whole chapter goes around with Shraddha and Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, and Prem. If these elements are not there, the success is not possible. But if they are, it is very simple. Krishna is therefore the eternal cause of all causes. Prabhava Pralaya, from the start to the end. Sthanam Nidhanam, he is the foundation. And he is the resting place. We have heard of this, a rest in peace. But he is the resting place. If you are in that consciousness, you are without suffering. And he is Bijam Avyayam. He is the seed and he is imperishable. And that Lord is our Sakshi. And this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is there for everybody. Anyone who wants to gain that. I think last time we talked about, Sarvatarak Prabhu had talked about Yajna. That is one way. And to really experience this essence or reality, there are so many ways. And one, it says in 9:13, Mahatmanamastu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. One has to be in a nature which is of divine qualities. Devim ashrita. Bhajante ananya manaso. That's what I was telling you. Ananya bhakti. You have to be connected with the source and not be deluded by the material contamination. That is the whole process. And Bhajante ananya manaso gyatva bhuta adim avyayam. When one knows that, you know the real truth. And of course, that was a few verses earlier. It talks about Devi Prakritim, and Bhagavad Gita explains. So if one wants to scientifically connect and understand, the process is very clearly laid out. If you know Bhagavad Gita, if you read it, you will understand it. And of course, blessings of Swami Prabhupada, he explained it so well, even though there are so many translations, that it explains it very well. And it said somewhere, Vasudeva Sarvam iti, no, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavana Mama Prapadyate. When you go towards knowledge, after so many births, the people who get that understanding, Jnanavan Mama Prapadyate, Krishna is saying, then only after being knocked down, understanding that that false ego is not the answer to everything, that they are Mudha. Adi Shankara has said, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudamate. So when one goes out of that, then only one comes to that state with that bhakti. And Devi Prakritam Ashrita, once develops those qualities, and of course it can take one life or many lives, depends upon the grace of God, and it is a living faith. It is not a blind faith. It is a living faith. Of course, one has to experience it, and it requires work in that direction. And that is what Brahma Vidya is. And Krishna is saying that Adir Anadir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam, that is about Krishna, that he is the cause of all that. And one needs to practice, and we have this path. And if one goes into that, the pain and the suffering, we've talked about Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, all of those elements can be with our karma, with the correct, right actions, can lead us to a blissful and a real happy path. The divine qualities that that Devim Prakritim Ashrita and Mahatmanam Astu Mam Partha, we all know Mahatmas are very, very rare. It mentions in Gita, the great souls are few, and that requires the Devi qualities, and all those Devi qualities are explained in chapter 16. So with those qualities, one becomes fearless. Abhayam Sattvam Samshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthita Dhanam Damascha Yagyascha. We talked about Yagya in the previous verse. Swadhyaya Tapa Arjavam. All these qualities, these were 9 qualities in the first verse in chapter 16. Abhayam Sattvam Samshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthita Dhanam Damascha Yagyascha Swadhyaya Tapa Arjavam. So you have to work on each of these qualities. We go to school, you spend so many years. The whole purpose should be clear to us. Here, Krishna describes clearly what those divine qualities are. And each quality to develop and to graduate in that sphere requires hard work. There is no, like they say, nothing comes free. So one has to look at what those elements are which one can pursue. And they are clearly over there. Tap, swadhyaya, arjavam, simplicity. You know, here we have our closets are filled up and our things are never satisfied. Humans are never satisfied. Why? Because simplicity is not there. Tap, arjavam is not there. Swadhyaya is not there. Yagya is not there. Dam, dan, all of these things are important. When one does that, and of course, when one gives the lordship and you surrender yourself, Atmanivedanam, to the reality, to the truth, to the splendor of God which you see all around you, you can go to that understanding. There are several others. There are actually 26 qualities. If you can develop those are the Devic qualities, all detailed later in other parts in Bhagavad Gita. So this is a divine science. It can take maybe more than a lifetime, but I wish that we succeed in that and we reach the bliss and the actual goal of life. We have talked about their different lokas and so on, and the gods loka is beyond the Brahmalok and so on. But apart from what happens after death, during this life, with the correct understanding, one can improve the life. And that is also one of the purposes of devotion and learning to lead your life in the correct path. Well, I think I'll stop at that. If somebody has any question, I'll be happy to answer. We have talked before about many of these elements, but these two verses, in summary, have told us the that the Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara riksami ajurevacha, that all the Vedas and everything, they are all included in that. And Krishna is the source, the God is the source of all that. And in the second verse, we saw he is the Gati, Bharata, Prabhu, Sakshi, Nivasam, Sharanam, Sukhrida. God is within you. So don't be, when you get, with the material contexts and so on, get discouraged in life. Understand your real goal. And that real goal is Prabhava Pralaya, Sthanam, Nidhanam, Bijam, Avyayam. And he is the inexhaustible seed and the source of all life that we look at. Hare Krishna, Om Shanti, Shanti.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi Divanji, for presenting these two verses from the Bhagavad Gita in such a clear and concise way, with so many important points that we can meditate on. As you all can see, Dr. Ravi Divanji is very, very knowledgeable, and he has so many verses memorized, and he brings in so many references. But I'm sure he can agree with me that he did not achieve this overnight, and it's because he has been constantly practicing, constantly reading, researching. And so if we want to follow that, we should also try to read Bhagavad Gita every single day, like Dr. Raviji has encouraged all of us to do. And so with that, I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions or comments. please feel free to share. I see we have His Grace Kamal Mukha Krishna Prabhu joining us from Houston. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining. If you want to share anything, please feel free to do so. Hare Krishna.
I got a couple of questions, please.
Dr. Nick Chaudhary, yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diwan. My first question is, what is the state of Turiya? How do we achieve it? What it is? How do you feel when you're in that state? Question number 2. God is the creator, sustainer, destroyer, rejuvenator, everything of everything. That being the case, we the creation, can we do also something or no? Was ego also created by Lord? We call it ego because he's the creator. All these negative qualities, what we call, are they also in his divine design? Thank you.
Thank you. Your first question was about the Turiya state. The Omkar or Om, and different religions use the word Om. Most of our shloka start with, mantra start with Om. And one of the Upanishads, which are basically lessons from teacher to students, explain it. When you talk of Om, it is A, U, Ma. Om. And the first state is the Jagrat state. Then the U comes, that is the dream state. And then Ma is the deep sleep state, Sushupta state. But our consciousness is beyond those all the 3 states. Those 3 states play with us all the time. You are in awakened state, you go into dream state, you have a dream, you make all kinds of dreams, whether they are of your material life or your children or your wife or your family or what have you, or yourself, your career goals. And then it is the deep sleep, when you sleep in the night, all those consciousness merge in there, and that's there. But beyond that is the Turiya state. Turiya means it is beyond that, which is the substratum, basically when you go into full rest and all that. So that is the Turiya state. Now, one goes through all that, and I hope that answers your question. So that is the Turiya state, which is the consciousness. And we talked about, that we are marginal. We can be material, we can be contaminated, you can be totally contaminated, all with the full play of the material universe, with all the activities which we do all the time. But for every action, there is a reaction, they say in physics, right? So there is contamination with that. We are not perfect. That is the Jivatma. But being marginal, the word marginal explains it very clearly, that we could be contaminated or we could be purified and be the Jivatma in the Atma or the consciousness state when all those contaminations are gone. And that is the whole process of purification in life. So we can be, you can try to go into the path of, it's your choice. God has given you the choice. So we can go either way. And that was, I think, your first question. What was your second question?
My second question was, God is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of everything, inanimate or animate.
Well, he doesn't do those functions himself. We have Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Those are the concepts. And he has 3 departments. One is creator, one is maintainer, one is the destroyer. Okay. But he is the seed of all of those. He is the seed of all of us. He is a substratum. Okay.
True.
When you make these computer chips, there is the bottom base, and on that you have all these different circuits. He is the base, he is the foundation, but he is not within it, you know. But he is the substratum, he is the source of all of that. So you're right. I mean, in one form, he is the creator, sustainer, and so forth, and destroyer, but he is beyond that. So what was the question?
Question is that God, these are his functions. God is energy. God is not a physical thing.
Well,
We call Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. I don't think there were any entities like that. Those are the three functions, and we human beings have been fighting over it. The Vaishnavites have been fighting with the.
well, well, the goal is for, what is your goal? The goal is to understand and realize the truth, not
Right.
fight over. And people have, yes, you are right, people fight over religions, people fight over philosophies, people fight over their thoughts of mind. Well, that's okay, but the concepts are clear. Okay. And to, so that is the creator, is the God is there, which is the source of all that. And then he has these three different activities which are going on.
True.
The whole cosmos, and we don't understand, and I can't answer all of your questions, but maybe we can sit down and talk about it sometimes.
True.
But,
My question was,
Mhm.
God the creator.
Yes.
God,
You know,
he is responsible for everything. We, the creation, can we do something also or no?
well, you can do something is to stay happy and be blessed, and to do that, to understand that what causes the suffering and pain, and how you can do things which can generate more happiness, more peace in this universe, and also attain, as Bhagavad Gita says, a better station in life next time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vidhivanji, for
I hope I didn't. I hope I answered some of the questions, but we can talk later.
Thanks.
yes, definitely. These are such vast topics
These are
that
deep
need,
topics, yes.
yes, and they need more time to be discussed on. But we really appreciate Mr. Nick Chaudhary for his questions, and also Dr. Ravi Divanji for answering them so concisely.
Hare Krishna.
My father is going to say something.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Dr. Ravi Divanji.
Thank
Thank you so much
Thank you. Thank you.
for your wonderful class. Also, I thanks all the audience, especially who present today at my home. I see here Dr. Bhavo Sarkar ji, Dr. Madan Kundaji, Dr. Surya Chalvari, and so many wonderful devotees. They are giving us blessings to run this program smoothly. So we'll go next part of the program for Arati to see the Lord Shiv and attend Arati to get blessings. Yeah, Nick Chaudhary ji also asked same question before. Yeah, in this world, even India, we know the Nirbisheshvadi or Shunyavadi or impersonalist, but in Bhagavatam is clearly stated, Vadanti tat tattva vidastam, Jasganam addayam, Brahmeti Paramatmati Bhagavaniti Shabdate. So you have to accept God has form. If you see the paint, there is a painter. Prabhupada mentioned very simple way. You know, through our eyes we can see the sunshine. Even through the microscope, people can see this Brahmando 4.21 billion lights year. Like sun comes in this material world, how many minutes? Takes 8 minutes, right? Something like that. So, in this material world, people can also see, like who are very like knowledgeable person in this on this matter, they think, like we are more knowledgeable than God. Therefore, they don't accept God has form. But it is clearly stated and we can understand. And God has, like we have a love, we have a sense, and we do some activities. God also does all kind of activities. Therefore, that like the drop of water and ocean of water. So first, Mahaprabhu is so like disappointed when people don't accept God has form. So first you have to accept God has form. Then we can talk more. And our all Vedic scriptures, through our scripture, even Krishna says, Man mana bhavo. Many places he says. Therefore, Prabhupada, when Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita, this so many Gyanis, so-called, other knowledge of persons, so many interpreters, Bhagavad Gita, so many interpreters. Why you need another interpreter or another Bhagavad Gita? But most of them, Prabhupada mentioned only Dr. Radha Krishnan. Actually, he explained 80%, but 20% and he was hiding. Therefore, Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita is so popular. And through Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita, so many people become devotee. It's unbelievable. Prabhupada is not present here right now, but through his books, people are accepting because Prabhupada explained his Bhagavad Gita very scientific way, very practical way, and people don't have any doubts. So I am requesting all of them, human lives are rare. So before die, read Bhagavad Gita and accept it and practice it. And once you practice, sometimes we say we don't see, but if you don't practice, if you don't accept, then how we can, relish? The first we have to accept. Like Prabhupada giving example, like the bottle of honey. If you don't open the, cork, and if you don't eat, then how you'll test it? If you try to test from outside, you will not see the test. So many like the Muni Rishis from India, they presented, and they are not foolish. They are more knowledgeable. They are crore times more knowledgeable than we significant person. Because we don't want to practice. We want to enjoy the material life. We don't want to meat eating. We don't want to gambling. We don't want to give up the illicit relationship. Therefore, we don't understand. Once we have pure vision, purity we develop, then we can understand God, because God is 100% pure. Ravi Damanji mentioned that he has no any relationship in this material world, though he created. So Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar. Krishna is always giving the best things. Krishna even accept or allow to kill somebody. But mode of ignorance, we are carrying this darkness, therefore we are doing so much nonsense things. Therefore, once we practice through the Harinam, the age of Kali, our life is very short. Therefore, Mahaprabhu gave this easy path. Haren Namoiva, Haren Namoiva, Haren Namoiva Kevalam. And it is mentioned also in Birhad Naridi Puran. So I'm requesting all of them. So please read Bhagavad Gita and accept this Harinam Sankirtan. Through the Harinam Sankirtan, Prabhupada conquer all over the world. Even the Milasso. Go to the China, 10,000 devotees. Why they gave up? They are giving up all the nonsense things, all kind of things they were eating, but they gave up. 10,000 devotees are in China right now. So by example, and if we follow the protest of Prabhupada, I think our life will be, success. So thank you so much. So we are requesting, we'll talk more. No, nothing is negative or positive. We can learn more through the questions. But main things we have to practice. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So
we're going to move to the final part of program, which is Arati.